Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time!
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is It's Almost Time. It's your boy A1 here. I believe I've got some co-hosts coming at some point. Didn't want to not get going. I know we get on at 8, and yep, you can't tell, I look a little fat because I shaved. um, just had to do it, and yeah. But this is It's Almost Time, presented by Real Ninjas Network. Gonna be covering last night's fight card, UFC 301, was Pntoja versus Erceg for the, I think it's the flyweight title. I'm gonna jump it right off the bat. I'm gonna go bottom to top, and hope I get some reinforcements in here soon. First up, we had Alessandro Costa versus Kevin Borjas. And this Alessandro Costa is one of Diego Lopez's students. He trains him. If you watch, you know who Diego Lopez is. Alessandro came out looking really good. Actually took him a little over 90 seconds to get the TKO victory over Kevin Borjas, or Borjas. I don't know how exactly they pronounce it because I've heard it 3-4 different ways. Actually, no, my bad. It was round 2, minute and a half in. I watched fights, had a couple of these, and yeah. But we had next up was Ishmael Bonfim versus Vince from Hell Pichel. And let me tell you this was one of my favorite fights of the night. It's the prelims, and went to a decision, but not for lack of trying from Ishmael Bonfim. He just wasn't able to get the finish. Vince Pichel is tough as fuck. And yeah. Bonfim looked really good. He promised a knockout or a finish, said the judges weren't going to be needed. They kind of were, but even without the judges, we all know who won that fight. It was Bonfim. Next up, we had Diony Barboza versus Imesa Karasati. I probably murdered Ernesta's name, but she was undefeated coming into this fight. This is actually a really back and forth fight. Excuse me. But yeah, Barboza, I thought it was going to be a split decision. A couple of them did, but I was also pretty sure that Barboza was going to win 29-28. Actually won a unanimous decision, 29-28. Barboza being from Brazil, I always tend to lean towards the hometown person probably going to get the nod, but yeah, it was no different. Next up, this fight was a lot of fun too, and I know I'm kind of speeding through them right now, but again, I don't I don't have a lot of interjection right now, so yeah, we're just gonna get through them. I'll look ahead at that, and if nobody's showing me, this might be a short show. Also need to get me something to eat, but we have Mauricio Rufy versus Jamie Mullarkey. And Jamie Mullarkey is tough. He usually will take some shots to get some shots. Tried to do this with Rufy, and it just did not go good. Rufy was very, very persistent. They kept comparing his style, his stance, and his fighting to Conor McGregor. I kind of see it, but again, this guy's, I think, first fight in the UFC. So if he can keep it up, he's probably going to get fast-tracked up there. But yeah, he got a first-round TKO over Jamie Mullarkey. Another good fight on this card. This is actually a really decent card. I know I'm still kind of got the UFC 300 hangover. So just these next couple months, I think up until about a month from now, UFC 302 and then 303, obviously. Those are both going to be really stacked cards. So it's kind of playing the waiting game. But this was a deceptively good card. A lot of people were talking shit about it, but nah. Drakkar Klose versus Joaquin Silva. This was a back and forth fight too. I actually thought Joaquin was going to pull it out at one point, but Drakkar Close was really good with the pressure, with the punches, had pretty good control. There were some spots it was back and forth, but yeah, unanimous decision for Drakkar Close. Uh, oh shit. Maya Becky or Albi versus Elvis Brenner. Man, this was a scrap. Let me tell you. Okay, so Albi was like a minus 300 or so favorite going into this fight. Elvis Brenner has been an up and coming rookie. I mean, I think he was 3-0 up to this point going into the card last night, and he gave Albi a run for his money. I'll tell you, it was back and forth. There's a couple spots actually. I think it was about 3 minutes or so into the second round, you could tell that the pressure that Makati was putting on Brenner was wearing on him too, just takedown after takedown. And Brenner was doing the right things to get back up, making it competitive, making him work for the takedowns. By the third round, Oralbi he was tired. And I mean, Brenner was too. You could tell, especially the last couple minutes of the fight, they were both wore out. It was a back and forth fight. And ultimately, Oralbi got the decision, but I will give Brenner a lot of credit because, again, just with how favored Oralbi was, Brenner put up a fight, and yeah, he's going to be one to look out for sure. Let me just double check and make sure I'm not passing any fights or performances of the night. Actually, the first fight of the night, Alessandro Costa got a performance of the night. Yeah, Rufy got a performance of the night, and I guess no, those two did not, but it was a good fight. Next up, we had Yasmin Lucindo versus Carolina called Kolwich. Ooh, I murdered that too. I cannot talk. This was a decision. Lena just couldn't really get any good offense going. It was, she had her moments, but Lucindo, I don't think at any point in the fight was in any danger. She was getting off first. She was being more aggressive, and ultimately, obviously, she got the dub. So Lucindo, I guess, Carolina was ranked number 13 in the women's strawweight. So I take it Lucindo's probably going to take that spot. Carolina will drop down, probably not out of the rankings, but yeah, because she was on like a 4 out of 5 fight win streak or something like that going into the Lucindo fight. Next up, we had Jack Shore versus Joe Anderson Brito. Pretty sure I probably murdered his first name too, but this was actually a TKO doctor stoppage. I'm trying to think if oh yeah, I remember what happened. So Rito got the TKO victory. It was by doctor stoppage in the second round, and the reason being is Brito was just eating up Jack Shore's leg to the point that his left calf, partway into the second round, kicked it so hard it busted open, and they ended up, I don't remember, yeah, it was about 3.5 minutes into the second round. They had to stop the action because it was gushing so bad. Had a doctor come in, and this dude was straight poking his finger into the thing. It was hard for me to watch. I'm not super squirmish. I don't mind blood in fights. It happens, part of the fight game. But when you start sticking fingers and stuff into open cuts, yeah, it gets you start seeing some stuff flapping around too sometimes. The thing that gets me, the hardest thing for me to see in a fight is if somebody breaks a bone and you actually see it snap, or like there was an Anderson Silva incident. I'm drawing a blank of what this dude's name is. Chris Weidman incident, and then obviously Connor is probably one of the biggest known ones that happened mid-fight against Dustin Poirier, and all three of those I want to say I saw live, and it's hard to watch some of them. Even to this point, when I still see replays, if I'm watching a video, I'll just cover the part. I'll watch what I can up to the point. I ain't trying to see that stuff break. Those were the prelims. We had the main card now starting out. It was my parlay pick here, and let me go ahead. I don't want to not hit you guys with some sound effects. I don't have the resident hater running these running the soundboard.
Parlay boys.
It was Paul Craig, and my pick was Kyle Bahio. And let me tell you, man, Paul Craig, some people like him, some people hate him. I don't mind Paul Craig because even when it gets down to doing some ground shit, he's very efficient. Usually, he's trying to go for finishes. He's trying to be active. Even in the points where he was trying to take Kyle down, he was trying to pull him into guard, trying to trap limbs. I'm a very aggressive jujitsu practitioner, but Kyle Bahayo is, I mean, he's legit. And I mean, I think, yeah, Paul Craig was only ranked 13 to Kyle's 14, but I'd say give Kyle a top 10 guy next. He got a second round TKO victory, and it was a KO. I mean, Paul Craig was out. He got hurt. It was a nice combo on the feet. And yeah, Kaio is legit. Got to meet this guy during International Fight Week. He was super chill, super humble, really funny, actually. It was just in an all around good mood. There were some fighters. I'm not going to drag them because they've done some pretty dope shit since, kind of revindicated them in my mind. But yeah, there were some other fighters didn't seem like they wanted to be there as bad. Joaquin Buckley was not one of them. He's actually going to be fighting next weekend. He ran his mouth to Dana during the UFC 300 press conference, and he said, "Hey, ain't nobody trying to see Derek Lewis in a 5-round main event fight. I mean, everybody wants to see Derek Lewis, but not for 5 rounds. Like, give this man 15 minutes, give me the main event." Dana kind of heard him. He liked his enthusiasm, anyways, and he is now the co-main event next weekend. I'll get to talking about that in just a minute, but next fight up, we had Michelle Pajeda versus Ihor Potieria or Potiera. This again, Michelle was a minus 625 favorite, and that's on the UFC site. And I want to say he was probably even higher favored on the actual site. And yeah, there's some controversy on this one. This was a first round submission, actually, and he did put Potiera out. The submission is not the controversy. The controversy came when Michelle, I don't remember if Potiera tripped or if it was like a takedown or a knockdown. I don't remember how exactly Potiera got down on the ground, but Michelle Pajeda, being who he is, he's very kind of he's very Johnny Walker-ish in his style, as far as, you know, just throwing some crazy stuff out there. He did one of his backflips, but as he came down over the guard of Potiera, he caught him in the face with a knee, which is technically a knee to a grounded opponent. It should have been stopped or at least halted. Um, but in the scramble, I don't think Potieri was super hurt from it. But the fact that it landed, they probably should have restood him, let Potieri recover if he had to, and then they'd have to start neutral. They did not do so, and during the scramble, Michel Pierre took his neck, and I want to say it was a guillotine. And let me just double check my stat book on that. Let's see here. Yeah, guillotine choke. 54 seconds or round one. I have a feeling this might ultimately end up getting overturned, but for the moment, it stands as a submission win for Michelle Pajeda. They're already talking that they want to see Michelle fight some higher competition. At least that's the word I've been hearing. So you probably see him against some tougher competition. Co-main event of this evening last night was Anthony Smith versus Vitor. Or no, that's not the co-main event. But Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino. Petrino was like a minus 390 favorite to win this fight. And I'll tell you what, for people not liking Anthony Smith as far as a commentator, the dude's got a solid ground game. Dude is you got to be a well-rounded fighter, and Petrino found this out last night. Anthony Smith with the biggest upset of the night, actually, by submission. It was a guillotine choke as well. Vitor, I mean, he sunk it in. It was 2 minutes into the first round. Petrino made one mistake. Anthony got his neck, and he didn't let go. And Petrino, I mean, even if he went to tap, he would have gone out. So shout out to Anthony Smith. Sometimes got to eat my words and say I won't ever trust him in a fight, but he is that division's Jeff Neal, so to speak, or Neil Magny. He's a gatekeeper. After the fight, he also made the statement, "Oh, maybe I will be touching gold," and I don't see it happen. And he's only ranked, I think, number 10 right now. Yep, ranked 10. And Petrino was ranked 15, so I don't think he falls out of the rankings, losing to somebody, 5 ranks ahead. But UFC math sometimes doesn't always make sense. So co-main event was officially Jose Aldo, the King of Rio's return, and he fought a very tough opponent in Jonathan Martinez, ranked number 12 at bantamweight. This was a good fight. Aldo, after being gone for as long as he had, he looked really good, really sharp. He's actually getting his offense off first, to where Martinez didn't really even have a chance to get going. It was not really close at any point. I want to say that I know it was a unanimous decision win for Aldo, but it was a pretty dominant unanimous decision win. There's been talks again in groups I follow and just some of the MMA community that I have my ear towards have accused Aldo of being on like TRT or some PEDs. Everybody's making a big deal too that USADA is not involved with UFC anymore. They're acting though like there is no drug testing. It's actually VADA now, and from what I understand, their testing is more meticulous than USADA's. A little bit better to the fighters, but again, it's still a drug testing program. So maybe it'll come out after, and I'm gonna have to eat these words. But I think Jose needed that break, and he wants it again. He's talking about he wouldn't mind a fast track up to the championship after a performance like that, but bantamweight, he's gonna have to beat a couple more contenders, at least one more. And if they want to give him, maybe like ranked in the top 5, and he beats them, then you can talk that. But bantamweight division is really stacked. I don't see him just jumping the line after beating number 12. Main event of the evening was Alexandre Pntoja and Steve Erceg. Erceg, this was his 4th fight, I believe, in the UFC, and you already know Pantoja's been doing this for years at this level in the UFC. I don't remember when he made his debut, but I know he's on the back end of his career, I'm pretty sure. This was a back and forth fight, and I'll tell you what, for this being Steve Erceg's 4th fight in the UFC, this dude put on a motherfucking show. First round was Pntoja, and not for lack of trying from Erceg. I feel like Pntoja got the takedowns, kind of had better control. Erceg wasn't able to get a ton of stuff off, so I gave that one to Pntoja. Second round, though, I gave to Erceg. Erceg had a lot of good shots. I feel like even throughout the entire fight, he was getting the better shots. He was hitting harder. And also, even with these takedowns, he wasn't laying there. He wasn't accepting it. He was right back. Like, he is a well-established jiu-jitsu practitioner, and he put it to use against a guy who's got really good jiu-jitsu. Second round, I gave to Erceg. Want to say, I think it was the 3rd round I gave to Erceg as well. And that being in the 3rd round, Pntoja ended on top, but in the middle of the 3rd round, he got hit with a solid right elbow to the forehead and started gushing. It wasn't just that he started gushing. He instantly, after they kind of got some space, he went up and he touched it. And with that adrenaline going, when you got a guy actually acknowledging like, hey, that kind of hurt, like, you got cracked. To Pantoja's credit, he didn't stumble, and he not only ate that elbow, but he took a left hook and just fired back, actually. 4th round was pretty close, and there's some people in the community gave the 4th round. They gave 2, 3, and 4 to Erceg, which I thought was kind of reaching. 3rd could have gone either way, just because, again, even with the good shots that Erceg put out, Pntoja was putting out some good offense. He wasn't able to finish or really get established, get some good punches going when he had him down. But I think it was more so because Erceg just kept getting out of the position, kept bettering his position, was ultimately able to get out each time that he got taken down. But 5th round, I want to say I had it 2 apiece myself. 5th round, actually, Erceg gave it a really good shot, but there was a point where he started going for ground game and stuff and got reversed. And I think that's where he messed up. If he would have had a more dominant 5th round, I could have seen this being a split decision or unanimous decision, 3 rounds to 2 for Erceg. Ultimately, Pntoja got the decision and still flyweight championship. champion of the world was Alexandre Pantoja. Man, I've got motherfucking mush mouth tonight. But yeah, Pantoja got the victory, but not without some controversy. Some people are thinking that it was a ripoff or a robbery. I wouldn't go as far as saying that, but I could see why people thought it was closer. One judge actually had it 49-46 for Pantoja. And all I'm saying is that judge probably needs to be looked into. But Erceg, with this being his fourth fight, he is not going anywhere. He just gave the champion a run for his money, and that's it was kind of like, even though Pantoja won, I feel like he still kind of took a L, because you shouldn't be letting number 10 even having a chance against you like this. This shouldn't have been as close of a fight as it is. I'll tell you, even with this loss, Erceg probably just put himself in the top five. He's going to have some stiff competition moving forward, but I think he's going to be game. He's a well-rounded fighter, got some good hands, some good ground, and personally, I like him. He's from down under, and I usually fuck with the Aussies. So, let's see. I know I did kind of skip on some of the
parlay boys.
And like I said, my pick was Kyle Bahio. I got the dub. Our boy, the resident hater, Mr. Paul Wilby, took Jonathan Martinez against Aldo, so he ate the L. And Dre got by with the decision win of Pantoja. So we're gonna up the tallies. Let's see here. This was looks like the 14th event that the UFC has had this year. And Dre is officially at 11 wins. I will be at 8, nipping at Paul's 9. So it's starting to tighten up here. I'm coming for that belt though, Dre. I'm telling you, you might have that win going right now. But yeah, I'm coming for it. And you keep missing these pods and stuff and these fights, your mojo for picking the fights is gonna be off, and I'm just gonna win straight off of just knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. So let's go. Next weekend though, for anybody local, we've been talking about this one for a minute, but it will be May 11th, and the UFC returns to St. Louis for the first time since 2018. Tickets are still on sale. I haven't even got mine. I'm planning to. Don't know if it's going to happen for sure, but I feel like I got to make it happen. Even if I can't get anybody to go with me, might take my little man, because on this card, it's decent. We actually got a lot of local Midwest or St. Louis talent that is going to be on this card. But my little man's favorite fighter is Terrence T-Rex McKinney, and he's going to be fighting Esteban Ribovic on the prelims. So I might need to take me and him and see if anybody else wants to go and see that happen. Co-main event, like I said, is Joaquin Buckley versus Nursultan Ruzaboyev. Man. And the main event, Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. This is actually going to be a decent card. And again, it's right in St. Louis. Alonzo Menafield is taking on Carlos Olberg. Diego Ferreira versus Matus Rebecki. Alex Bruce Lee Caceres versus St. Louis's own Sean Woodson. We got Waldo Cortez Acosta versus my boy Robelis Despain. And I'll tell you what, this actually looks like a pretty even fight. They got Despain at minus 166. But what I'm going to go ahead and do here, I'm going to call it now, since I'm going to be the only one picking.
Parlay boys.
And I'm going with Robelis Despain. This is the heavyweight version, basically, of Yoel Romero. He is from Cuba, and he hits like Yoel, but at heavyweight. So I'm placing, give me Despain. And I'm even call it now. I'm gonna just lock in the money line for our parlay, but I'm calling first round KO within the first minute. Like this dude's fights do not last long, and it might come back to bite him in the ass as he gets established. If he keeps going and keeps winning, he's going to need to get a little bit of diversity. He's going to have to learn how to go through some wars. And up to this point, everybody that he's fought, he's slept. Like his last 3 or 4 fights have been like done in the first 15, 20 seconds. So that should be a good one though. Chase Hooper versus Borshev. I'm not even going to try to say the first name. Like I said, McKinney's fighting Rebovich. Tabitha Hichi versus Tisha Pennington, formerly Tisha Torres. This is the champ's wifey of Raquel's wifey, I should say. Billy Goff versus Trey Waters. Got Charles Johnson's versus Jake Hadley. Jared Gordon versus Kevin Jousset. Or no, Jared Gooden. I was like, Jared Gordon ain't black. Nah, Jared Gooden versus Kevin Jousset. And then starting out the night is, I think, actually, JJ Aldrich is a St. Louis area native as well. She's going to be fighting Veronica Hardy. So not a bad card, actually. And again, this is an hour and a half away from where we reside around. So definitely going to try to make it to that. Hopefully can. If I can't, still going to be watching the shit. You know, we roll. Next fight after that is the 18th. It's another fight night. We got Barbosa versus Murphy. Co-main event, Chaos Williams versus Carlson Harris. We met Chaos actually at a International Fight Week as well. I don't remember who you reminded me of. I'll have to talk to Dre about that, but he said, even Dre said that he reminded him of somebody, and I don't remember. But yeah, let's see. After that, we've got you. Okay, so we're gonna have a 2-week break from the Barbosa fight night before UFC 302. And we've got Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier for the lightweight title bout. And I will say this one thing that Poirier has already been on record saying is it's win or lose. This might be his last fight. If he wins the title, he might just call it a day on that. And I don't blame him, because if he goes out and he shocks the world and beats Islam, it's going to be every American's victory right there. Nothing against Islam. He's been a decent fighter. This is only his second. Actually, no, this is his first official lightweight defense. He defended it twice against Volkanovski. This is his first actual lightweight contender that he is defending his belt against. And he is a minus 550 favorite on UFC's website. Dustin coming in at plus 410. One fun fact, though, is the co-main event of this evening is Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. And there's every now and then MMA gives us these really weird statistics that don't make any sense, but they're real. The statistic that I am talking about right now, though, is that Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa, every pay-per-view or card that Paulo Costa has fought on, and there has been a championship fight, the champion or champions have lost their belt. I don't know. Let me double check and see if I saved it. I'm going to be kind of mad if I didn't. But yeah, I don't think I saved it. That sucks. But yeah, there's a really crazy fact that yeah, Paulo, every card that he's been on, and there's been a championship fight on the card, the champion always loses. This happened on UFC 217. I'm even drawing a blank of who was fighting, but he was on the Izzy and Pereira card, the first one where Pereira shocked the world and actually beat Izzy. He was on, it was like a triple champion card. I don't remember even what card this was, but yeah, all three champions lost their belt that night. Actually, give me a moment. I gotta fucking Google this one, because this is like, I like these little weird stats. They do this stuff in football too. Oh, if it's below this temperature in this month, then these teams have never won, you know, and somehow it plays out that way. I just don't understand. It shouldn't make sense. It should have no bearing in how the actual fight plays out. But yeah, I can't find it. I don't even know how to do it. But yeah, it's a really weird statistic. It's like 5 different pay-per-views or championship bouts that he's been on the same card. And as far as I know, every champion has lost. So if it's gonna happen, like if we could have a night for one of those upsets, I'm hoping Dustin finally gets his. He was the interim champion. He had a shot at the BMF title. He lost to Gaethje, but he's beat the current BMF champion twice. So again, that would be another fun fight if Poirier wins and decides to keep fighting. let's run it with Max. I really can't wait to see what they line up for Max, because he's definitely earned himself some shit, and I'm sure whoever they put him against is going to be a dope fight, whether it's for the BMF or not. And then hold on, let me double check. So no, we only been running about a half hour. Like I said, this was probably already going to be a shorter show because I ain't got nobody to argue with. There's going to be a fight night June 8th. It's kind of yet to be determined, but Raul Rosas Jr. is going to be on that card. He's fighting Ricky Tercios. So we already know who Dre's parlay pick's going to be for this card. Dustin Jacoby's getting a shot at Dominic Reyes because Jacoby was ranked. He's not now. Reyes is ranked 14 somehow still. He's on like a 5-fight losing streak since fighting John Jones. And don't get me wrong, he's fought killers, but see how that goes. And then, yeah, there's a fight night, the Saudi Arabia fight night, the Whitaker versus Chimaev. This is going to be a banger of a card. Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov, Johnny Walker and Volkan Ozdemir, Gasolin versus Daniel Rodriguez, got Shara Bullet Magomedov, and as of right now, Ihor Potieria, who just lost last night. That's another thing people were talking about, is how this dude was double booked. He had that fight and then another fight. But yeah, no, some good stuff coming up. And then obviously after that fight night, the one that everybody's been waiting for. I mean, this fight's been 2.5 years in the making. Been 3 years since competition for the guy. But Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. And we got the co-main of 303 is Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. Number 8 versus number 3. Jamal trying to make a quick bounce back. I ain't even going to give him a lot of time because the dude's still talking reckless. I don't blame him, but I don't think that's the best way to cope after a loss. It's just completely deny that the shit happened or that you weren't knocked out. But what do I know? I'm just a guy on the couch. Speaking of couches, though, I'm going to find me some food and go sit on one. Hope y'all have a good night. Thank you, anybody who did decide to join me tonight. Just like, subscribe. This isn't live. Run some comments. We'll answer them. Like, we just want to be able to chop it up with people as we're talking. Makes my job a little bit easier, so I'm not completely like, oh, what am I talking about? But either way, if you came here and sat and listened to me for a little bit, I appreciate you. I hope y'all have a good night. We'll be here next Sunday, or at least I know I will. So y'all have a good night. It's A1, and this has been It's Almost Time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.